Hey, welcome to Get the Balance Right, a podcast for creative entrepreneurs and agency owners looking to grow their business in a healthy, sustainable way. I'm Heather Zeitzwolf, CPA. I serve this community with coaching, profit advising, and virtual CFO services. Please join me as I talk with leaders in digital media, branding, advertising, design, marketing, and SEO. Hey, this is Heather Zeitzwolf. Welcome to Get the Balance Right podcast. My guest today is Bryan Cargill. He is the man behind Tactus Media and the podcast Media Marketing Podcast. I was actually a guest on his podcast, I don't know, maybe it was a few months ago when we recorded it, and we did it as a Facebook Live, and I had never done Facebook Live before, so that was interesting, and that's available on the web. It's a little embarrassing, but I took some of that interview and I cut it apart and made my first episode of my podcast. So his name might sound familiar to you. If you want to check it out, that's episode number 1. But in this segment, the tables are turned and now I am interviewing Bryan about the power of video. I met Bryan about a year ago through Toastmasters. That's kind of an ongoing theme with this podcast, but I know a lot of people from Toastmasters. But anyways, we totally hit it off. And this conversation was about 60 minutes, but I cut it down to about 30 minutes. So sit back and enjoy our geeky conversation about video. Hey, Bryan, thanks so much for being on my podcast today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Heather. This is awesome.
The tables are now turned. I was on your podcast, which was very exciting because you made me do Facebook Live, which I've never done before and haven't since.
Completely transparent. That was my first Facebook Live as well, interview style, where I was running the show. I've been in Facebook Live for somebody else. It didn't go as smoothly. You know, with all of this stuff, technology, you're trying it out, see what works, and you learn from all of your different experiences. Yeah, I'm glad you were open to pushing outside of both of our comfort zones and going live. And I think the video, I want to say around 500 views in just a matter of days. And for organic traffic, that's great.
Thank you for pushing me into it, because otherwise I probably would have never tried that.
Well, that's a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's uncomfortable the first time you do anything. You get on front of camera, the first time you do a podcast episode, it always feels uncomfortable. And then the more you do it.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your background with Toastmasters and how you actually got into media?
Well, Toastmasters in a nutshell, it's to practice your public speaking in front of an audience. And it's a supportive audience, which is really nice. You're not having to be 100% refined and be a professional speaker. It's for people that are aspiring, people that are working on their skills and wanting to get better. And so I attribute a lot of my skill set here as a videographer or coaching or mentoring and working with the talent that come that want to do business with me. It allows me to coach and speak more effectively and efficiently. I'm about 5 years into my marketing career, but I've been doing video production for the better part of 10 years. I was actually just looking, my first video that I posted on YouTube was about 2008, 2009 time period. And that's where this whole journey began, with falling in love with video, falling in love with the digital space, and being able to try to figure out how can I help people, how can I be a good content creator, and how can I continue to grow and develop my skills and my passion, which is video production. As someone that tries to push myself and gets outside my comfort zone, I feel like I've been able to acquire some skills over a short amount of time and have been able to find success with my clients and have been able to create some work that I'm really proud of. And for those of you who are tuning in, I guess you could check out my website if you want to see some of my work. I'm primarily video focused, but I've been doing podcasts for the last 3 years.
So you dabbled a little bit with other podcasts before you started this one that you've had for about a year, correct?
I started doing podcasts back in 2017. And like all of this stuff, it started out as something that was just fun. And I wanted to try it and see what it was like. So that one was more of a lifestyle, more of a journal, but like bringing people on because I really enjoyed the interview process. So it was kind of talking about things that were going on in my life and then interviewing my friends who are in the local community. Yeah, kind of similar to my own video journey it was just, I wanted to do something that was fun. I was like, oh, video camera, and you can piece this together and tell a story. Like, and everyone has access to this now. Whereas before it used to be you had to have a whole bunch of money to go buy a camera or you had to be part of a production crew. But now it's a lot easier for the average person to pick up a camera or use their iPhone to film something. You're able to instantly become a storyteller right there. And so that's a similar thing for for the podcasting. My very first videos when I was in my early journey, when I was in high school with some buddies, was just making like happy birthday videos, very simple things. Ones where one of my friends today, he could do a double backflip. So like filming him try to do a double backflip and just taking my camera with me to try and get those reps or get that practice and skill over time. Cause I just knew I had a passion for it. I didn't know where it was going to go, but I knew if I kept trying, keep working at it, eventually those skills will come together and they'll pay off, and I'll be able to find my own place in the video world here in Portland.
Cool. And one other thing about not only is it more affordable to have a camera, but it's also a lot lighter. I remember those old cameras with the big videotapes, and they weighed a lot, bring around, and they were really super big, and it was just cumbersome and horrible.
Yeah, they weren't discreet. It wasn't like pulling out your iPhone and you could be texting or whatever. But yeah, you knew someone was filming. I think the classic, dad camera or mom camera, where you had to slide your hand in and put it over the shoulder. They still have those, and they actually are really, really high quality cameras. I think what's really changed the market, or something that people might not know, I think this is a little bit newer, but I use a DSLR. A lot of people think I'm doing photography, and I'm like, no, I'm doing video, because it looks like a photo camera, but it's actually capturing video. And the reason why a lot of people do that, a lot of independent or small filmmakers are using photography cameras for video, is because you're able to swap out the lenses to get a little bit different look and feel. And that's why you see, they call it like a shallow depth of field, where like this person's in focus and the background is all blurred out. Well, you can do that with these digital SLR cameras, whereas those old cumbersome camcorder, the ones going on your shoulder, and unless you're paying $100,000, that's the only way you can get that look. Nowadays, you can get one of those cameras cheaper, but it's going to be flat. Like it's going to look like a news production. Whereas I think what a lot of people are falling in love with is that bokeh, where the person's in focus and the background's all blurry, and you get that from a DSLR camera. But iPhones are doing some amazing things. I don't know if you've seen the latest iPhone. I think has like 3 cameras on it, 3 little cameras. And so it's like, it's doing what my DSLR does to a degree. Like it's taking one photo that's like shallow, one that's middle, one that's deeper, and then it's combining all 3 of those photos together and creating an effect. So there's a lot of these aftermarket effects that look like it, but it's just a filter to a degree.
Hey there, this is Heather. Besides being a podcast host, I'm also a CPA and profit advisor. I help creative agencies grow in a sustainable manner. Right now, I'm offering a complimentary healthcare check of your business. So if you go down to the show notes, you'll see a link and you can sign up. All right, now back to the show. There's this whole thing about being authentic. Some people think like, oh, you have to show like how you are in the background. Like if you're a business owner, like just do an Instagram or something and it's got to look all natural. But where's the difference of like when it needs to have that sort of commercially produced look versus that scrappy home video look?
Well, first of all, storytelling is king, is really what sticks in people's minds. It's what they remember. That's why we go and watch movies. That's why we're able to take 2 hours out of our day. And why is that? Well, it's storytelling, and it's got all my favorite elements of video production, which is music, sound design, and the visuals. And all of those combined together really can create a compelling user experience where you're able to just like get excited and watch that. But storytelling isn't limited to just movies and limited to that. Storytelling can be done in a lot of different forms. We do storytelling all the time. Some stories can be just 3 sentences. Think of a haiku. That's 3 sentences as a story. And so you can do that with a lot of different tools. So it's not really about the tools, it's about the message itself. And so I think that's where kind of the authenticity part is coming through, is you can use your phone and be really authentic and speak directly into your phone and create bite-sized content frequently, because we're not living in the polished day and age where you only had one piece of content to show for your company. Back in the day, you only had maybe enough money to do one video, and that was your commercial, and that's the only way people knew your brand and knew your business. Now the platform of only being able to watch that commercial on television or only putting up a billboard where people drive by, these are all traditional ways of marketing. Well, the internet has really revolutionized that. You can control your image and you can control your brand through the different channels that you own. I'll stick to the media ones: YouTube, Vimeo, LinkedIn, Instagram. I guess TikTok is growing. I don't know. TikTok has some controversy now. Now, because we own these different platforms, you're able to create a lot more content at a higher frequency. If you're a bigger brand, as a smaller brand, you're growing, as your business grows, you're producing content kind of at a same rate. But I would say now, because you can control the platform, you can create these authentic videos where they don't need to be super polished. Yes, have your polished pieces that showcase whoever you are. If you're, Fortune 500 company, but you can balance that out with these smaller pieces of content, are a little bit more real, a little bit more raw, because people's attention span is so limited. I mean, you can post something and 3 days post something again, and people will not even remember what it was that you posted 3 days ago. And they're already starting to, like, people want whatever's new, whatever's the next best thing that's coming out. And so I think a lot of business owners get hung up on that perfection. Like, every piece needs to be perfect. We're not all perfect. I think a lot of people are becoming more open to the idea that businesses change and grow all the time. And if you do have something that that you post something that wasn't as successful or maybe has a negative effect, you can be human and you can address that and say, hey, I messed up. I learned, I grew, I became better. And that's great, because then customers will see that and say, oh, wow, like there's a person behind this company, and they're not just this logo or this icon that they're hiding behind.
Hey there, this is Heather. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And if you are, if you wouldn't mind, please hit the subscribe button now. That way you'll never miss an episode. All right, now back to the podcast. So what are your thoughts of when it's appropriate to have sort of the scrappy homemade video versus, and when I say homemade, I just mean like with your iPhone or with just your own little camcorder or whatever, versus paying for professional video services. So I made a couple of just homemade videos and kind of put them up on the internet to promote myself. And then I got some feedback from people saying, well, they were related to me, but they saying that, oh, that doesn't look professional. I was like, well, I was trying to be authentic. So it's like, when can you be authentic and when should it look professional?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great story, and I want to dive into that too. But my quick answer to having a polished video and having just something on your iPhone, I would say do both. You want to have both, a mixture of both those pieces of content. And what I usually advise to people is start with an about video, so people know who you are to begin with, and that should be early in your strategy, about video or just who you are, and then you can start diving into these other aspects. And that iPhone, that authentic one, is actually a culture video, is what I call it, is where you're authentically showing, hey, this is a culture of our company. And I've seen people do a lot of iPhone videos where even testimonials, where that can feel more real, more raw through a testimonial, because polish and having them sit there can be all of an awkward experience. But if they film something on their phone, send it to you, that looks raw and that looks authentic. Now, taking something like that and tying it in with a brand video, it's creating a whole experience. Maybe you do have your polished videos like commercial work or your about video, but then you have another playlist that's like for testimonials, or playlist that explains your culture. Maybe there's something that your company does every year to give back to the community. That's where you showcase that in that culture state. Things where you film it on your iPhone, you have to kind of measure a bunch of things. And I'm going to see if I can bring this in with what your family said too. So when you create a piece of content and you create a video, you want to make sure that you think about a couple different things. What is the goal of the video? What are you trying to accomplish? So with the testimonial, you're trying to accomplish authenticity, emotional connection. Also, you have to consider, where's the audience? Who is the audience, and where are they going to watch your video? So for your family, one, were they the audience of your target audience of who you want to work with? Maybe, maybe not. I take family kind of with a grain of salt, because they're going to see you for who you are and not see like what you're trying to become. Where are they going to be viewing the video? So is the video going to be viewed on Facebook? Is it going to be viewed in an email? Is it going to be because those actually play a big factor. If I know a video is going to be shown on a big screen, I'm going to add cinematic bars to it. I'm going to make sure it's really nice. I'm going to listen to the audio a bunch, because that's going to be played through some really nice speakers. But if I'm going to make a video that's going to be used on someone's phone, those aren't as big of requirements for me. For me, on my phone, I want to make sure that the video fills up the whole screen. Nowadays, you have vertical versus horizontal. There's so many different factors to take into consideration. But I definitely strive people is think about these two things. What is the goal of your video, and where is it going to be played? I guess three things, and then who's going to be watching it.
So when somebody works with you to produce a video to kind of incorporate story into it, do they come to you with stories, or do you kind of help them develop that? And how does that how does that come across in like a 15 to 30-second video? Like I know in a commercial, they have sort of, they can sometimes create story in a short amount of time, but do you help them with an outline or music? Yeah. What comes into play to create this story?
You bring up some good points. Like what is my process for working with people, and what is what are the fundamentals of a story? And I'll bring this back to Toastmasters too. And a lot of us know most stories, they have an intro, a body, and a conclusion. But I will add an element. And so if you were just doing a video of yourself, that might be the very intro. Hey, my name is, this is what I do. This is how you can work with me. That's a story right there. But I would take it a step further and maybe add a hook element to make sure people pay attention throughout. So the best hooks out there, they start with a promise. They say, hey, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you X, Y, and Z tip. So stay tuned. And that actually keeps me glued. So I'm like, okay, I'll listen through maybe even some commercials. I'll listen through to tell me about why you're passionate about your work, and then to get to those tips at the very end. So it's kind of hooking and getting people excited about the content. And then, yeah, for the story element, or I guess thinking about the best hooks out there, you think of Romeo and Juliet. You already know the ending, but you're still willing to watch it because of the story, because they're building up each of these characters and getting you excited and interested in them. And so a lot of people, they ask themselves, well, who is the character of these stories? And the character of your stories, and I'm going to pay tribute to the Donald Miller. He explains that your customer is the hero. So the story is about them. Whereas a lot of brands, they get confused and they think the story is about the brand and they should be talking about how great they are. But according to his book, you're the guide. You're supposed to be mentoring and helping them along the way. And so for myself, me as a guide, I see education a big part of that, educating people about video. What's that process like? If they want to work with me, understanding what that process looks like. And so I do help my clients with the scripting, outlining of your video that you have in mind. If you're excited about one particular idea, a lot of my clients come to me with wanting to do a brand video. Those are pretty popular, which tell the story of your brand in about a minute or two. But I'm open to a lot of different other types of videos as well, and helping people come up with YouTube strategies where it's not just limited to that one video, but you really think holistically over the course of 9 months to a year, what videos are we going to produce, maybe in tandem with, well, ideally in tandem with the other social media content that you're producing. And then I'm always striving to make sure that it's on brand. A lot of people, this is me going, is it okay if I go on a quick tangent here, Heather?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah. A lot of people, because it's a new platform, they think all the brand just goes out the window. So I'll see people make a video and it looks nothing like their website. It looks nothing like their social media platforms. So the ways that you can transmute your brand across all these platforms is making sure that you're using the same logo, making sure you're using the same color scheme for a lot of different things. So on your business cards, on your email signature, which is a great place to add a video. Hint, hint. Keep to your brand. Stay focused. And if you don't have a brand or a brand style guide, or if you don't have a brand story or message identified, there's a lot of great people that can help you with that, myself included. But not just limited to me, but doing that work on the front end. If you don't know where to begin, you can try to self-teach yourself through books. But it's a lot easier bringing on a professional who's done the work and maybe has seen some other clients in your industry and can share that knowledge with you and make sure that you're not making some mistakes out of the gate. I think some people, they get excited, maybe they'll choose their own colors and fonts, and you might be doing something that looks way outdated, and that says a lot about your brand and about you. People are judgmental, Heather. They're judging us all the time.
Yeah, fonts, especially papyrus. Ugh.
Oh man. Yeah, but you see that a ton in the yoga and mindfulness industry. Papyrus, for those of you, go check it out. It's kind of this like cracked font that got some long, I don't know, it's not great.
Oh, no.
Jurassic Park, I think of when it comes to papyrus, I think it has like a similar I want to say Jurassic Park is papyrus. It might be Trajan.
Yeah, papyrus is used, I think, maybe for like things like maybe like Lord of the Rings kind of ish or something.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what's made the mainstream so time and time again is, well, Comic Sans is like kind of the butt of the font family.
Comic Sans, yeah. When it comes to making a video that's going to be an about video on your own company website, do you have any recommendations when it comes to like what video platform? Like I've been on people's websites and it's like you click on the video and then all of a sudden it's like from YouTube and then it has like YouTube ads, at the very end or something. So Well, what do you recommend your clients to use for their websites?
Yeah, it's case by case, but I would say, like you said, with YouTube, you have those ads, and I think that's where when it, if it's one of those things, it's a free platform, so it's give and take. So you're like, okay, I get to put it up there for free. I don't have to pay for hosting, where just to give other people an idea of how much hosting costs, you can pay anywhere from $15 a month for a hosting platform to a couple thousand, depending. When I'm speaking just a couple of bucks, Vimeo is a good alternative if you want to kind of avoid all of those commercials and cat videos. But you do have to be hesitant, because I've tried posting stuff on Vimeo promoting my company, but then they flagged it as commercial, and then you need to get a commercial license with them, or a professional license. Whereas I think YouTube is a little bit more lenient. You can post about your company, talking about your business, and they're okay with that.
So are there I know that there's other platforms out there, but I don't really know the names of any. Do you recommend any in particular?
Well, it depends on how big you are, but I would say it's smaller, you're kind of bootstrapping it. YouTube's like for, very beginner, but then as you move on, maybe, Vimeo, you can move up to there because you can do playlists. Vimeo has a great feature where you can replace videos. YouTube, you have to completely take down your video and then put it back up again. So you lose all the views, all of the SEO that went along with it, and you have to start from scratch. Whereas Vimeo, you can replace the video just as is. But some of the higher quality ones, I would say Wistia is a really, really good one. If you're kind of a bigger company, maybe you video as a marketing strategy, Wistia is great because you can actually track who's watching the videos, how long they're watching it for, and you can even put email gates at the beginning, middle, or end of the video. And what is an email gate? Well, as soon as someone starts watching a couple seconds, a pop-up says, hey, you can't watch this video until you've put in your email. And that's a great way to capture emails as you're trying to grow your email marketing strategies. And video and email marketing work really well hand in hand. But yeah, Wistia is a good platform. And then if you're really trying to go to the next level, I recommend Vidyard. But they're really expensive. So you're paying for a high quality thing. And so yeah, I can't really give a general recommendation for all businesses need to be on this platform, but it really depends on what you're trying to do with video. Obviously resources that you have. Do you have an in-house videographer? Are you going to be doing this out all externally? So it's an investment. With those platforms like Wistia and Vidyard, you can track the whole user experience and you can funnel people along in their journey. And then you're actually able to convert people into clients and you're able to see it all along the way. That's where I think it's great if you have a sales team and then you're the marketing team, you hand it over to the sales team and say, hey, we know this X, Y, and Z about this customer. I think you're going to be able to close the sale. But for the average person, posting on YouTube or Vimeo, you're going to get, you're not going to be able to track things down to the T, but you're still going to get a good ROI on your investment because we are now living in the day and age of the educated consumer. So your customer, they're going to hear about you, but they're not going to buy your product right away. They're going to want to look online, see reviews, see how do you engage. Now in today's environment, you have to stand for something. You have to, say, hey, these are our policies. This is how we're addressing some of the issues that are affecting the world right now. I think a video can do a great job of showcasing your values because it's really creating an emotional experience for people. They're able to listen to the sounds of your company. They're able to hear from the actual physical people, and you're able to replicate that experience whenever someone wants to have it. So someone could watch your video 2 p.m. or 2 a.m, and they're still interacting with your brand, and you're not even there, which is the cool part. It's almost like magic to a degree. I talk about in one of my videos the power of the elevator pitch, or the elevator pitch used to be a thing, whether or not you could actually get in the elevator with this millionaire and pitch him what you're all about, whether that actually is possible. Well, video makes that possible, because you can create this great video and share it. And I work with people all the time who are creating a new product or are creating a video for Kickstarter because they want to showcase a product or a service. And it can be really powerful and profound. Reading has its place, but when people have the option to click and watch a video, it's that much more exciting and that much more immersive for them.
Do you have any thoughts on naming your videos on YouTube? I've heard all this stuff about like, if you use certain keywords or certain phrases that people are going to search for, because I guess YouTube is like the second biggest search engine in the world next to Google. But certain titles for your videos to make sure that they get more clicks?
Do some keyword research, and there's some good keyword platforms. SEMrush.com, they have a good one. Google Ads has a keyword research tool, and so does keywordtool.io. And don't quote me on this, but some of them, I think they give you a few basic options, and then you have to pay for a platinum, or not platinum, but a premium version or a subscription to be able to get access to those tools all the time. But where I'm going with this is when you do the front end research of what are other people looking up in your industry, what about your company are people searching? That's the big thing with YouTube, is because it is the second biggest SEO platform because Google bought them, is people will sometimes search on YouTube with their question. So is there something that your business can answer? Is there a question that you can answer in a YouTube video that a lot of people are searching and be able to get that traffic?
What are some of your different services that you provide?
So all things media. So that's photo, video, and podcast, those three. But I would say the things that people get excited about are video and podcasting is really exciting right now. But video more so because it's that immersive experience and not everyone can do it. So for me, my services include, yes, that about video, and I can do an audit of your brand and take a look at, because it's really a custom approach what I do. There isn't something that can just be cookie cutter and replicated. I recommend people reaching out to me, and then I can do an audit and take a look at what are they currently doing. If they don't have any YouTube channel, or they don't have any video on their Instagram, or they haven't tried using video on LinkedIn, that's where I can come in and really help guide them along that journey. When it comes to different types of videos, about videos are popular. We talked about testimonials here, the culture videos, even doing happy birthday videos for your internal staff. Those can be kind of fun and showcase a different side of you. Holidays used to be a really big thing, but I think holidays are becoming a little bit quieter these days when it comes to video content, but that's always a nice time to use video. You can also do customer appreciation. You can say thank you in a video. Yeah, it's pretty interesting the different ways that video can be used. And if you're okay with me going on a tangent, I was kind of thinking about video is like this language that we all understand, that we all know, and it's been around for a long time. And I'll see if I can keep this thought straight. We've had video since the 1800s. Since the late 1800s, you could pay a nickel, and you could go to the nickel show and go watch it. But you didn't have access to it, to creating that yourself. You only got to pay for the experience. Now you can create your own content, but people were trained and were used to video so much that people are okay with pressing the play button and sitting there and watching it. And I actually have a kind of a funny story. The next generation is so trained or so engulfed in using this media or sitting down to watch a video that I heard the story that this little kid, they were at an art museum, and the little kid went up and tried to press play on the painting, and he's like, well, what gives? This painting isn't playing. So that tells you how far we've come and how much video is going to keep growing here as the next generation and as people get more and more acclimated to it. Yeah, if you don't have any video content with your brand, you're really kind of set at a loss. The saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So I would say if you haven't started your video content creation, now is a good time. What do you think people are most afraid of when it comes to making a video?
I think people don't like the way that they look on camera. I think there's also that when you are standing in front of something that has a red blinking light and you know that you're now being filmed, that is somewhat daunting. I think people are like, oh my God, this is going to be forever. Where if you were just talking, if you messed up, people could just kind of forget about it over time. But there's that permanence of video that is just really, really scary. So if you screw up, it's always there.
So I come from the generation where you can record stuff and then you can edit and change things after the fact. Whereas I don't know if it's just an older generation thing where everything is so permanent. And maybe it's because of television, because when you did a live recording on television, that was it. But now, we're doing this recording and we'll be able to do some edits after the fact, being okay with that and being okay with seeing and hearing yourself. I think that can also be part of the challenge too. A lot of people, we hate seeing ourselves. To really prepare yourself for success is one, looking into that camera, looking into the dot, making eye contact is huge. a lot of people might look off screen or they want to put their notes off screen. The audience will see that. And so that adds to that raw authenticity is people can see if you're being authentic, if you're able to connect with them. So, my recommendation, if you can memorize things, a couple sentences at a time, look directly into the camera, that's helpful. For people filming on their phones, maybe holding it horizontally, that's also key.
Seems like video is important regardless if you have your own company or if you're just trying to promote yourself. It seems like everybody has to be their own brand. So if you want to try to get a job even on LinkedIn, you have to be branded, even if it's just you're looking to get hired from somebody else. I've heard that the future is going to be video resumes.
Yeah, I mean, the future's here then. Yeah, there are video resumes, and I haven't done as many video resumes because usually if they're looking for a job, they don't have money to pay for a video because that's a bit of an investment. But I've done more elevator pitch videos or video bios, which are a smaller version of those about videos for a brand. So a video bio is just about you. And oftentimes I've done this with real estate professionals, financial professionals, but it's similar thing where you have a story. You start with, hey, this is who I am. This is why I'm passionate about the work that I do. And this is how I can help you, or here's how you can get in touch with me, a call to action at the end, if you will.
Do you have any feelings about like what might be the next thing? For a while there, it seemed like it was going to be 3D, but then that just kind of fizzled. But
yeah. I'm always curious. I mean, with those trends, 3D was the trend of about 5 years ago. Now the trend is TikTok. And with any of these, I think it's good to have them on the periphery, know about them. And if you have the resources and you have the ability or you have the team to be able to do so, you can create assets on these platforms. I'm sure there were businesses out there that were ready for the 3D boom, that had 3D content created. I've played around with TikTok, and it doesn't need to be a big investment of your time. Maybe you can repurpose content that you already have on another platform, put it on that platform and just see how it does and learn the platform by trial and error. And yeah, that can be scary because you're learning in front of others, which I hate doing that. When I go and play golf, trying to do a swing in front of all my friends, I mess up, but that's part of it. And sometimes, if they're good friends, they're going to be supportive and help you out. And if they're, mean friends or maybe critical family, they're going to try to point out some flaws in what you're doing.
Being that we're both new to this whole TikTok thing, all I've done is just download the app, but maybe you've done a little bit more. It sounds like, can you explain what it is? It kind of like, is it going to be the MySpace of the video apps?
Yeah, I guess MySpace in the sense that it was popular and then came and went. It's probably more similar to the trajectory of Vine. Vine, for those of you that don't know, was a platform where it was about 7 seconds and you could piece together a video. Maybe it was all 7 seconds was one take, or you actually edited it up. And that's kind of what TikTok is. I think what makes the environment different today than when Vine was out is cell phones are a lot more prevalent today. So you have more creators, more ability for there be interaction on the platform. I don't think there were as many cell phone users back then, I haven't looked at the numbers to see what the community is on TikTok versus what Vine was. From my understanding, Vine went away. To your other question with 3D, are these things here to stay? Well, that's the gamble, that's the investment. But I would say if you have the bandwidth and you have the resources and you have the team, trying these things to a little degree and seeing if they could work is always better than the alternative, which is not doing it at all. And so what the results are there, but when you do try it, you never know what could happen. And so I use that mantra when I just took 2 YouTube videos that I had created and I just posted them on TikTok. I think there was a time limit, so I had to cut them down a little, but I just cut it off midway through the video, threw it up there and wanted to see what happened. And both videos got a couple hundred views, and that was organic, just me posting and seeing what would happen. Now, I don't know if I could do the same thing today because that was about a year ago, and a year in the digital space is very, very quick. Now the platform is a little bit more developed. There might be more marketing professionals on there, and the marketing space is highly competitive. Yeah, you never know until you try. I guess another piece of technology that people might not be thinking about is virtual reality. That's something that's on the near future, but the only brands that have virtual reality content are the ones that can afford it.
I think of virtual reality, I always think of the Lawnmower Man. So that's really cheesy virtual reality. I don't even know if you've seen that movie.
No, I haven't seen the Lawnmower Man.
Oh yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, and so it's like that's like all of these platforms. They start off really bad and then they get better and more defined. And if you're there in the early bad stages, I was fortunate. I was on YouTube. This is my older channels, but I was on in 2008. And I think it launched in 2006, so relatively in the infancy. And you get to see how it's grown so much. It was actually a lot clunkier, and it's a whole new experience for people. So there is value in being first. If there's a new platform and you get on it first, just by longevity, being there for a long time, you're going to have a big advantage over your competition.
Yeah, and then you become the expert in, and then people pay you lots of money to teach them about how to use that platform.
Yeah, because you're further along you understand it better than other people. It's like studying any new skill, and when people are curious and learning a new skill, they can learn it themselves the hard way, or they could pay a coach that's going to keep them accountable, that's going to guide them along the way. And so, yeah, that's what I do with my clients, is I coach them along the way with their video journey. And I help walk people through the scariness of looking into the recording button or looking into the camera. And I can be your extra set of eyes and ears, say, oh, maybe try that again, and maybe try the inflection this way, and making people feel really comfortable in front of the camera.
Bryan, this has been really great. Thank you so much.
No, this has been awesome.
Hey, this is Heather. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you found value in the show, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a rating on iTunes, or just simply tell a friend about it. And if you're interested in learning more about my profit advising and coaching, please set up a discovery call by using the link in the show notes. All right, thanks so much, and see you next time.